Monday, September 27th. We have one meeting to tell you about today. That'll be at 9:30 this morning, and that is the third Architectural Control and Standards Committee meeting, and that will be in the boardroom as well as virtual. You could follow along at lagunawoodsvillage.com/meetings. Now, on our show today, we have golf course safety with Tom McCray, and then we have Congresswoman Katie Porter, and she talks to us about what's going on in D.C. as well as Sacramento. There's some additional things that are going to be happening here for the state of California and the nation. All right, then, like I mentioned, we have the golf cart path warning. It's a safety message that's here from Tom McCray and those that work at the golf course. All right, let's take a look at our weather. We are looking at cloudy skies for the next couple of days, mostly in the morning, but will burn off somewhere around the 2 o'clock hour. We're looking at 74, 61 today, 75, 65, 72, 65, Thursday, 85, 60. Again, it's getting hot. Friday, 89, 61. We'll keep an eye on those temperatures. Sunrise this morning was at 6:43, and our sunset will be at 6:40. Lori, thank you for sending in this photo that you took at the aquarium out in Long Beach of the cute little clownfish. If you have a photo you'd like to share with us, please email it to lagunawoodsvillagetv@gmail.com. And please make sure that it is a high-resolution photo and it is one of your own originals. All right, stick around. We're going to have golf course safety in just a minute.
Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in Laguna Woods, and during the day, hundreds of pickleballers play on the association's 7 courts. But at night, that number is greatly reduced because there are only 4 lighted courts. Light the Night is a community improvement project, and the Pickleball Club has stepped up to assist GRF with funding. You can help by making a tax-deductible donation of any size through the Village Community Fund. Go to villagecommunityfund.org and click on the Light the Night link for more information.
Okay, hello, my name's Tom McCray. I'm the Golf Operations Manager here at Laguna Woods Village. There's been a hot topic currently with the GRF boards and with conversations around the community with access to the paths around, in and around the golf course, and its safety. We wanted to kind of go over that today and kind of give everybody an idea about what is safe and what is not, what is approved and what is not. And when you are doing something that maybe we don't necessarily recommend, on how best to do it. Historically, what the perimeter path has been called is from this point here, which is right by the pickleball courts, the path that goes outside the perimeter of the golf course and ends up over at Clubhouse 4, at the Arts and Crafts Center at Clubhouse 4. That has been historically the use by pedestrians and people using their personal golf carts to navigate from that side of the property over to the other side of the property in as safe a manner as possible. Keeping in mind, and we'll go out there and we'll take a look, keeping in mind that those areas are actually on the playable parts of the golf course. And as there aren't a lot of professional golfers playing here, the golf balls will tend to go in areas that they're not intended. Actually, most golf balls that are hit in a direction that they're not intended, and they're coming very close to people that may be walking onto the golf course. So what we're going to try to cover today is just the overall idea of how to use those paths, what we recommend doing and not doing, and kind of giving you an overall idea so you can be safe while you're out there. Okay, hello again. This is the Y in the road leading up from the 9th hole at course number 3, and this is where a lot of people don't want to follow the signs. From a safety standpoint, if you are playing golf on course number 3 at the time, and this is your hole, you're going to go off to the right, and that's how people are going to actually start playing the hole. If you are not a golfer or you are not golfing yet, if you have not checked in for your tee time, make sure that you travel to this side, to the left side of the path. This way you're going to be behind the netting and you're not going to be in danger of getting hit with golf balls. So please make sure that as you drive around, if you're a golfer playing the golf course, a pedestrian or a non-golfer just heading up to Stater Brothers, make sure you follow the signs to be safe. Okay, one other point that we have an issue with from time to time is people that are trying to go across the golf course to get back to the clubhouse or get to the tennis courts, whatever the case may be, driving through the middle of the golf course. And that's something that, number one, it's a big safety issue. It's also a course wear issue because you're going to run into people that are occupying the cart paths that are playing the golf course. That's how it's designed. We have a system in place for you to get from one end of the property to the other, and it is the perimeter path. So if you see this sign, if you are going to the clubhouse or you're going to play course 3, please follow the perimeter path on the left. It is not allowed to go through the middle of the golf course by going to the right and trying to go up the middle of the course. There's golf balls being hit, there's carts that are going to be in the way, and we just ask that you make sure you follow the perimeter path. It's really not that much farther, it's not that much inconvenience. So please make sure you're following the signs. Okay, this is our main area of concern. This is an area that's heavily trafficked by pedestrians and people getting from one end of the property to the other. This is the 16th hole or the 7th hole on course number 2. And this is the par 5, and as you can see from looking behind me, we're very, very close to the playing of the round of golf. I have somebody right behind me about to hit a ball, and it's very close to the sides of the fairway. So this is why we don't recommend using this as a pedestrian path. If you can look slightly off to my left, the white line on the border of this path is actually the edge of the golf course. So all of this area is actually on the playable parts of the golf course. I don't know how many people watch a PGA Tour event online, or on television, and you'll actually see tour professionals, the best in the world, firing balls into the gallery where the gallery would be in an area just like this. So as you're in this area, just know that we have signs posted to beware of flying golf balls, and just know that at any moment, I'm actually a little worried right now, so I got one of the sound guys watching my back while we stand here. As you can see, there's a player right here that does not have to hit that poor of a shot to come into this area. So please, your judgment would be your judgment, but right now we recommend not using this area. Okay, everybody, and while we don't recommend using this path for pedestrian traffic, exercise, walking your dog and things like that, if you do choose to do that, there are a few things that we'd like to point out to keep you safe and to actually help the golfers still enjoy their round of golf. What you can see behind me is you can see some players about to strike a ball. As you're walking down the path, I just ask that you look in and you watch the people that are about to strike a golf ball or are in the process of striking a golf ball, and there's some different tricks that you can take to be safe. If you see somebody, as she's about to hit a golf ball down there, is to stand where you're standing, stop, wait, and watch. And as soon as you see that golf ball traveling, you'll get a good sense of where that golf ball is going to go. And if it's coming right at you, you can take a moment to simply move out of the way. Now I see that ball and it's a little bit short, so I'm actually in good shape. Now, if you do that for just enough time and you're watching until everybody's hit, once you see everybody hitting and either getting out their pull cart and starting to walk or getting in their golf cart and starting to drive, that's the time when you can continue to walk because nobody's striking a ball. Just know that all the golfers that are playing and they tee off in 8-minute intervals. And this golf course is extraordinarily popular. There are people, if we were to pan around and we'll get some B-roll of the golf course, and you'll see that it's very, very full all the time. So there's going to be group after group. So to be safe, you're going to wait. Now you see the golf carts traveling. Now you see her driving her golf cart up here. At this point, that's when I would start to walk. And I would keep an eye to see if somebody is going to hit a shot there. Then I can walk by them safely. And also, as you come up as you're walking around the golf course or driving your cart, a common occurrence we just call it poor etiquette, is if you come up on a golf hole, the starting point is called a teeing ground. And if somebody's about to hit their tee shot, or somebody's about to hit a shot on the fairway, don't drive up behind them, don't walk up behind them. What we ask you to do is to come up, and you see they're about to hit, is just stop and wait. And as soon as all the players in that group have hit, then it's safe to walk, then you follow them down the fairway. And always keeping an eye on where they are so they're not hitting a golf ball behind you. Those are the safety points to operating in this area, but again, we don't recommend it because golf balls generally are not going to go where they're designed, And this area is actually quite condensed, and you'll end up in a very dangerous situation.
Why do I love being a doctor at Kaiser Permanente?
My only job is to take great care of my patients. I'm empowered to do what's right for you.
Our digital records mean your medical history is in one place, so I can give you great care.
Your primary care doctor, your specialists. It's great. We all work together as one team.
Our integrated approach to healthcare helps my patients live longer, healthier lives.
I don't just practice here, I'm a patient too. I wouldn't trust my family's healthcare to anyone else.
Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Congresswoman Katie Porter. And, she hasn't been with us for quite some time, so we'd like to welcome her to the show. Well, Katie, so nice to see you.
Thank you so much for having me again.
You're welcome. Now, there's been a lot of things that have been going on, and I know you are always very focused on our senior community, and we certainly appreciate all the things that you do for them. And let's just kind of go over some of the things that you've been working on. So, for instance, you've got something called Protect Our Care. What does that mean?
Protect Our Care is a national organization that is traveling around the country to talk about how important healthcare is to everyday Americans. Mm-hmm. And we all know that we want our care to be high quality, to deliver the life-saving cures and treatments and wellness that we need, but we also need to be able to afford it. And so what Protect Our Care does is advocate for things like making sure that the Affordable Care Act continues to be law. We just saw that 2.8 million Americans signed up to get health care through the Affordable Care Act in the last few weeks during the most recent open enrollment period. And they also do a lot of work, and this was really the focus of the event that I had at the Tustin Senior Center, on making sure that prescription drugs are affordable. And this is a huge issue for Americans of all ages, but particularly senior Americans who are more likely to take medication and to take more medications. And so Protect Our Care is really about making sure that we're doing the work in Congress of allowing Medicare and insurance companies to negotiate those drug prices so that medicines are actually being taken by seniors. They can afford them. We're not seeing people do things like go without or cut pills in half because they simply can't afford to take the medicine that their healthcare provider has prescribed.
There was a time, and I don't know if people are still doing this, but, we couldn't get anything here in our country. So we would have to go out of our country, like to Canada, because they were so expensive here. Is that still happening?
We absolutely pay some of the highest drug costs in the world for the exact same drugs as in other places. There are still people who go over the border into Mexico, for example, to get drug prices. And so one of the things that we're looking at in Congress is, as we think about letting Medicare do that drug price negotiation, making sure that we in the United States are not paying more than the international benchmark for the exact same drug. And one of the most important things for people to understand is that we as taxpayers fund most of the research and development. The groundbreaking drugs, these life-saving COVID-19 vaccines, they are built on the backs of taxpayer investment in research at NIH, through grants to universities like UC Irvine and other places. So what we're asking for is for the drug companies to simply negotiate prices just like any other kind of business. And I think one thing people should know is the prohibition on Medicare being able to negotiate drug prices was a late night, dark of the night, many years ago, giveaway to big pharma. Mm-hmm. And in every other aspect of our economy, we have that competition, we have that price negotiation, we ought to have it for prescription drugs.
Now, when you talk about prescription drugs, I recently was interviewing Kaiser Permanente, and we were talking to one of their pharmacists, and we talked a lot about generic drugs. So when we talk about the expense, is it for generics as well as the main brand?
The biggest problem with affordability is around the non-generics. But part of this does relate to patent protection and the ways in which drug companies can make a very, very tiny minor change to a drug and then secure longer patent protection. There are deals called pay to delay. They're effectively agreements that try to get companies to put off that generic manufacturing. And so what we've seen here is big pharma companies really manipulate the market in their favor. We often hear from pharmaceutical companies that they need to charge so much so that they can pay for research and development. I think it's really important that people know what this is. It's just a lie. Research and development is not even close to the largest expense of pharmaceutical companies. In fact, they spend more on stock buybacks and dividends for their shareholders than they spend on research and development. So what we're seeing here is really a case of big pharma putting profits before people.
Wow. Well, that's kind of scary because, we rely on these companies to provide us with medication.
No, absolutely. And look, every American is affected, not just seniors. One of the fastest growing, sort of most rapidly growing price drugs is insulin, which affects diabetics, EpiPens, different kinds of cancer treatments. And so what we're trying to do is make sure not only do we have those life-saving treatments, but that people can afford to get them as well. And we have to get healthcare costs under control if we're going to be able to continue to deliver that high-quality care to all Americans, including all seniors through the Medicare program.
Well, exactly. And our communities are not getting any younger. In fact, we're going to have so many more people over the age of 65, over the next 10, 20 years. So hopefully you can get this worked out as soon as possible because like I said, we're not getting any younger.
Well, one of the things that we're proposing to do with some of these savings from allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices is to actually reinvest those savings back in our seniors by expanding Medicare. And there are two primary ways that we're talking about expanding Medicare, and I support both of them. One of them is lowering the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to say 62 or even 60. And we know that this would save lives. Cancer diagnoses jump at age 65. There's a huge spike compared to age 64, 63. Why? Because people are putting off diagnostic tests. They're putting off things like mammograms and colonoscopies and other kinds of screenings because they're too expensive under their private insurance. And when they get Medicare, they get those tests only to find out that they've had cancer, which could have been stopped and better fought if we had better health care for seniors earlier in their lives. So we're trying to lower the age of Medicare eligibility. The second way that we're going to use those drug price negotiation savings to reinvest in Medicare is to expand Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing. Yeah. Now, most Americans like Medicare. People wait and they're excited to get on it. It's a good health insurance program and it delivers the best quality health care at the lowest price point of any of the alternatives. But not having dental, not having vision, not having hearing create a huge problem for our seniors who often can't afford to get these treatments and get these kinds of care, and it affects their health. And so if we want to keep seniors happy and healthy, living independently, enjoying their lives as long as possible, then we need to treat dental and vision and hearing as what they are, which is healthcare issues covered by our senior healthcare program, Medicare.
So in order to be able to expand it, please tell me again how you would fund it. It was through savings. What was that again?
Right. So Medicare right now is, as we talked about, prohibited from negotiating drug prices.
Okay.
They have to pay whatever price, no matter how exorbitant, a drug company charges, or else they have to not cover the drug. And we obviously want to cover as many of these drugs as we can. So by allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices and saying to the drug company, if you don't negotiate, we have the ability to benchmark it to an international price. We have the ability to give a license to another company to compete with you who will negotiate. We will save hundreds of billions of dollars. And it's doesn't even take all of that money. Part of that money will be enough to fund that lowering Medicare eligibility age and dental and vision and hearing benefits for seniors.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I think sometimes when we watch the news, we don't hear the little details about, how it will benefit somebody. All we hear is kind of the overview of, this is what they want to do, this is what they want to spend, but we don't hear the actual value of doing that. So thank you Thank you for
Well,
clarifying.
and Lisa, it's a great point, because one of the things we often talk about is this is how much we're going to invest. This is how much we're going to change. We often don't talk about what are the costs of not doing something.
Yeah.
So if we don't make these changes, seniors will go without prescriptions. If we don't make these changes, seniors will go blind without access to different kinds of vision care, for instance, that could save their sight or preserve their sight. So there's a lot of expense to not acting as well. And when we talk about the Build Back Better budget that Congress is currently negotiating, one of the most important things for people to know is that the vast majority of that spending is paid for by raising revenues. So we have to, just like American families and seniors have to look at their Social Security checks, look at their retirement income, and balance that against their expenses, Congress has to do the exact same thing. And so when you hear talk about a spending bill of X dollars, know that what you're often not hearing about, make sure you ask the follow-up question, how much of that is paid for? And we're working to pay for as much of it as we can.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you. So now in terms of, spending and not spending, you have to have some budget discussions. So tell me a little bit about your budget reconciliation.
Yep. So where we are in the process is in August, the Senate passed a bipartisan infrastructure bill and sent that over to the House. So the House actually passed our infrastructure bill first. We sent it to the Senate. They took it apart, took some things out, put it back together, and sent it back to us as the bipartisan infrastructure deal. That is one part of President Biden's Build Back Better agenda. But we recognize that what we need to invest in, what we need to build back better is not just roads and ports and bridges, but it's also our workers and our workforce and our healthcare system and our economy generally. The goal here is really to create a strong, stable, globally competitive economy. And that benefits every American, including retired Americans. So we're looking at making investments that would do exactly that. That includes things like making 2 years of community college free, which will be a huge help for people who are overwhelmed by college costs. We're looking at things like investing in wildfire prevention and green energy technology, coastal resilience programs, conservation and preservation of lands. And one of my particular things that I'm advocating for, a big investment in childcare to help make sure that men and women can return to the workforce.
Now, that what has been a real issue is the cost of childcare. I mean, we have many people in our office who are struggling to try and find childcare, like there's lack of it. Therefore, the costs of those that are available are very expensive. What do you think you can do about that?
Well, so we need to make sure that we are making childcare easier to pay for American families so that every family can make their own choice about what balance of returning to the workforce and being home with children is right for them. If we don't do this, we're going to continue to see some labor shortages, and that's going to really hold back our economy. Right now, women's workforce participation in the United States is at a 30-year low. And that's a major contributor to why we're seeing those help wanted signs. So what we propose to do is to make sure that no American family has to pay more than 7% of its income on childcare. And we know that childcare is overwhelming California families and American families. Even before the pandemic, in a survey of California families, childcare was named the most unaffordable, biggest expense that families were facing, even more than housing. And that's no surprise when you hear the statistics. In 32 states, including in California, the cost of childcare for 1 year is more than 1 year of in-state tuition. I experienced this myself. My daughter, Betsy, went to UC Irvine's preschool. It cost more for her year of preschool than it would have been for her to be an undergraduate at UC Irvine for that same year.
Yikes. People can't afford that. That's crazy.
Well, not only can parents not afford it, but what it does is actually it also has downstream and down generation and up generation effects. So we often see grandparents being asked to care for children, sometimes beyond what they're physically able to do because their sons or daughters, family members just can't afford it. And we see children who get left behind. Some children get quality childcare, some kids don't. And that's so childcare is an investment in our entire economy. Even if you're long past having children, you're enjoying grandchildren, or you're glad to not have any for a while, we all benefit from that strong, stable, growing economy. Wherever you are in your life, whether you have kids or don't, whether you have grandkids or don't, childcare should matter to you if you care about having an economy that is thriving.
Exactly. And especially get the women back in the workplace, because we definitely don't want to see that happening going forward. So excellent. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing the information.
Absolutely. And I'll be back as soon as we get that budget passed to talk more about exactly these investments. I would love to talk with people, particularly about the work that we're doing around wildfires. And I encourage everyone to please watch the wildfire preparation town hall that we have. It's available. You can watch it and rewatch it. Some great information from the Orange County Fire Authority about how to be prepared for wildfires.
Excellent, Katie. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Our movie for today is called Finding You, Rose Reed. And it's brought to you by Advanced Ear Care. And you can see that today at 2 p.m. with subtitles and 6 p.m. without subtitles. So check that out today. It should be a very interesting and fun film. All right, effective October of this year, broadband's continuing effort to remove analog and duplicate channels from the channel lineup. They have located the 600s will no longer be available, but can be viewed with their corresponding channels in the 100s. So for instance, if you go to 102, FX Movie Channel HD, that used to be 602. So they are duplicates, but they will be eliminating the 600s eventually. But as of now, you can do both, but go to the 100s, 102 and not 602. All right, let's take a look at our weather one last time before we head out. We are looking at overcast skies this morning up till about 2 o'clock this afternoon, but we will be heating up to a 74, 61, 75, 65, 72, 65 on Wednesday, and then very warm on Thursday, 85, 60, and hot on Friday, 89, 61. Have a great day in the Village. We'll see you again tomorrow right here at 9 a.m. And you can rewatch our program at 12:35 right here on Village Television. Have a great day.